a very quick video because I'm cold and I want to go back and sit on the radiator. I've just come from outside. It's freezing. It's icy cold out there. Right, so I said, and I want to keep my word, that I would do a video on availability. So as I said, I'm going to be really quick with this. So because I needed to move the sofa bed out of my sister's room and down into the garage, and I tried to get hold of anybody who was available, anybody who could help. And in the end, a Facebook friend who I'd never met before in the flesh, Gary, he volunteered. I posted on Facebook asking who would help. It was kind of like a trick question after a fashion, because throughout my sister's illness, and not just through my sister's illness, but when I used to go to church, for as long as I can remember, you will get people coming to, not necessarily that you're in need or anything, but you'll get people who will come. I've had people say, oh, if you need anything, ask me because I need the blessings, as if that's how God works. But I've had people say to me, just, without me soliciting them, if you ever need anything, let me know. And I guarantee you, whenever I've asked one of those people who have said to me, if you ever need anything, let me know, 100% of the time, they can't do it. They're busy. They'd like to help, but they can't. So that was the situation last night when I was trying to get, I only needed a couple of men to help me. And, I'm not into the political correct nonsense, because if I need muscles, I'm going to ask a man or a couple of men or a group of men. So basically, I just needed 2 men to give me a hand with the sofa bed down 4 flights of stairs. And I found 2 willing volunteers. My friend Barry, who I first met as a cab driver some years ago, he was the first to volunteer. He's a Muslim. And my friend Gary from Facebook, he's a Christian. So the moral of the story is, it's not about your religion, it's about your willingness. So anyway, so eventually I managed to find 2 willing helpers, and both of them synchronized, and we managed to get the sofa bed into the garage. But this morning, while I was speaking with Barry on the phone, just to confirm, just to let him know that Gary had agreed to help out as well. And then I set up a WhatsApp group between the 3 of us, just so we could communicate, and everybody's on the same message. So no sooner had I finished speaking to Barry and set up the WhatsApp group, God communicated to me, and he pointed out that the reason why, because a lot of people, their excuse is, I'd like to help, or I would help if, or if. So, or they're not available because, right. So what was pointed out to me was the first reason why people are not available is because they're not available in spirit, or they're not sincere. So they may say, if you need help, let me know. But that is more to boost themselves. When people come out and say that there's no thought in it, it's to boost themselves, so they can sort of, if you like, glory hunting. And then when you put them to the test, they can't deliver. So what was made aware to me, because that's how God teaches you. First you have the lesson, and then, or rather you have the practical lesson, and then you have the spiritual lesson. So the lesson learned today in that moment was that so there are people scattered in other parts of the world, in other parts of the country, like for example, my mother's in Kent. And as much as she is interfering, because she's been calling the hospital behind my back, and I got to find out because one of the doctors called me today thinking he was calling her number. So that's how I got to find out that she's been calling, because she just needs to have control. But when my sister's released, all roads will lead directly back to me. So that's where her days of controlling are numbered come Friday. But anyway, I digress slightly. So fact of the matter is, so when people are not around, are not available, can't help, it's one of two things. Either it is God doesn't want them to help in that situation because it's not for them to help, or it is a case of that they haven't made themselves available. So this is the thing I have in common with God, and people might say, oh, how can you say that? That's blasphemy. The thing I have in common with God is I'm not going to ask you against your will. So if I know that you don't want to do, if I ask you to do something and I know that you don't want to do it, or I know that you're the kind of person who doesn't really like to serve others, I won't try to persuade you, right? So it is the same thing with God in my experience. So today I learned why I'm in the situation, why I'm the one doing everything really as regards my sister, even though I'm not the only family member who is in this country, in this city. It is because I am the one who is willing, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but I could go into something else, but I'll save that for another day. But I could go into something else, why God would put me in that situation where I'm the one that can be relied upon to help out. So that was a lesson that I learned today. The reason why people are not available is because they are not spiritually available. And you know, when you're giving, you have to give from the heart. You've got to be sincere about it. So if your heart's not in it, then you know, you no can do. And as well, if people are the type to claim the glory for themselves, then they're not really any use to God. So I mean, these two brothers, I call them brothers, who helped me today, you know, they've never met each other, and they were truly like brothers. The way they you know, they departed, the way they greeted one another, the way they departed. One's Muslim, one's a Christian, and they were truly brothers. So, you know, like I said, I'm just going to keep this short because that is the whole point of it. Well, I can only speak from personal experience and from what I know. You know, when people say in the right place at the right time, if it be the case that God has use for you, or that you are a willing servant, like for example, I know for a fact that Gary is the type who, we've had this conversation where he will ask God to use him as an instrument to glorify him, right? So in other words, if you say, here I am, I'm a willing volunteer, God will put you to good use. So I appreciate that some of the people who watch my videos don't believe in God. That's fine. But at the same time, this is the reality. It is about who is available. And who was available to me was a friend who I met driving a cab when I booked a cab, and he turned up, and we've been friends ever since. And someone that I'm friendly with on Facebook, I would say a friend from Facebook, who we hadn't met before until today because he volunteered. He asked, you know, how can I help? Just basically, I just needed to tell him where he needed to be, what time, and he was willing. And both of them delivered. So I guess it's something to think about. On my part, I've learned a lesson. I understand now why it's always me, you know, like what Mario Balotelli said, why always me. I understand now, if you're willing, then, you know, God knows he can rely on you. So it's a bit like with me and sewing. Whenever customers want something done and they want it done now, or they want it done tomorrow, they tend to come to me because I deliver. I work to targets. So if you like, if if all my customers wanted something done now, I can guarantee you all of them would get in contact with me to ask me, can you do this? And the answer from me is usually yes. I just need to know what your deadline is, and I, do a quick calculation in my head. Can it be done? No problem, and it is done. And that's exactly how God works. If He wants something done, then the scripture, the field is white, the laborers are few, or the harvest is great, and the laborers are few. So it's not that there aren't a lot of people out there, it's just there are only a few who are available or who are willing. So that is my video, and I learned something today. So now I know why I'm the one who's in this position. It is because I'm the one who's willing, and not just willing but able, right? Because if I think actually I'm glad I remember this now, because I do know that there are some people who would have helped me, but they are not in a position to help for health reasons. So they are not in the best of health, and going down 4 flights of stairs with at one end of a sofa bed would not be something that I would put them through. And there are others who not in the situation with the sofa bed, but with other things, they don't have confidence. And that takes me back to the thing about personal development. A lot of the times people are unwilling to step out of their comfort zones, even in times of an emergency, because they don't feel confident. So again, that's a plug for self-development. I can't recommend it enough. But ready, willing, and able. That's tonight's tagline. So anyway, Liverpool's playing at the moment in the Champions League, so I'm off to get back to the game.